Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Afternoons with the Ambassador, Council of One's Babylon 5 review. And with me this afternoon, I have got Mountains of Elysium and Fiona Wolf. And very quickly to the chat, Colin P. Smith. Good afternoon, my friend. Good to see you as always. To those of you who are coming in, and those of you that will catch us on the replay, our normal co-host, Dega Outlaw, is not with us today. He is having some medical issues. So for those of you that are familiar with the Dega, please be praying for him and keep him in your thoughts and everything going forward. He's doing some things. And Dega, if you happen to see this, my friend, we are praying with you. And if you need anything of us, all you got to do is ask. So, but today we finally reached the end of season 1 of Babylon 5, and this episode called Chrysalis. And Mountains, Fiona, it's good to see you once again. I know we were off for a week and everything. How are you both doing?
Doing great, thanks.
Yep. Don't have to go to work until a few more hours from now. Yay!
Yay! And there was indeed much rejoicing. Yay!
I still got to pay my bills and various book addictions.
But yeah, after our week hiatus and everything, we are finally at the end of season 1. And from here, it just gets more fun. Because this is like the fuse that sets off the big ginormous firework explosion that is seasons 2 through 4. Well, and season 5 of Babylon 5. And yeah, this episode has got a lot going on in it. It's got a lot of moving parts. It's got a lot of moving pieces. And today we're going to break it down. We're going to dig into it, and we're going to just dive in head deep. So means we have a lady with us for a change. It's on a giant sausage fest.
Hello.
Fiona, where would you like to begin?
Let's see. Well, I know it's not directly tied to the show, but if you pick up the comic book, you get to see Sinclair's reaction to Delenn later on, after his oopsie daisy of not going to see her before she went into hibernation, as it were.
Yep.
It's really adorable, and it's in a way it's even more fun when you realize how they're connected through other avenues later.
Mm-hmm. And of course, we get our great quote from Ambassador Kosh. And so it begins. I may have a few words, but those words mean a lot. So.
It kind of kicks off the whole thing. I think when initially this was broadcast, this episode was held until season 2. It was broadcast week 1 and season 2 started the following week. Mm-hmm. So this really is the kicking off. The end of season 1, it explodes, so it begins. Season 2, it starts to ramp up.
Yeah, for me, honestly, this has so much in it. I mean, we get the death of President Santiago, and yes, for those of you who might not be aware, some people die and some people get injured. So, I could say spoilers, but I'm not going to say spoilers because this show has been off the air since the mid '90s. So guess what? If you haven't seen it by now, I can't help you. But yeah, this episode, we get the death of President Santiago. We get our first introduction to the Shadows. We get the kickoff of the war, manner speaking, between the Centauri, or the escalation, rather, of the war between the Centauri and the Narn. Everybody's going off station. People have been shot. People are getting things replaced and removed. It's just all sorts of fun. So... Yeah.
And poor Londo's going to eat his words later. Oh, why don't you limit the entire Narn homeworld while you're attic? One thing at a time, Ambassador. One thing at a time. Like, oh, God. Ouch.
Yeah.
That was killing. The fact that he said it wasn't dismissive. One thing at a time, meaning they had they felt they had the power to do it.
Mm-hmm.
But in the one thing, I think it was 4 shadow ships were involved in the attack on the Narn colony, but only 2 actually attacked. And I think the extra 2 were there as backup. The shadows themselves, I feel, didn't know their own strength or didn't know the strength of the Narn. They were just testing. And this was a test of their own power.
Yeah, very true. Yeah, because what's it? Quadrant 37. Woo!
Yes.
There ain't much left. There ain't nothing left of the Narn because I think it's either Natoth. Yeah, it's Natoth that says to Jakar. It's as if a great hand just reached out of the stars and snatched them all away. Constellation's gone, ships are gone, all the buildings on the planet have been leveled. Everybody's dead. 10,000. I think that's the number that Natoth mentions is 10,000 of our best warriors dead.
And then even Jakar has a conversation with Ivanova, and it just kind of just showcases just how bad season 2 stuff is going to get between everything with the shadows, the Centauri, and everything else.
Mm-hmm. Very true. The part you're talking about, Fiona, is where it's after Santiago's ship has been destroyed and he's been killed, and then of course before that, the shadows have gone into Quadrant 37 and taken out the entire Narn installation. And honestly, the amazing thing to me is this doesn't deal with a whole lot of really heavy subject matter. This is primarily story building and world building more than anything else, because I think honestly that was deliberate in this case. You don't have a whole lot of social or political commentary in this episode per se. It's just a lot of it's time to move this thing forward. Let's get this show on the road. Let's put we've explored so much in this season. Let's give the people what they want. Let's give them explosions. Let's give them some good conversation, some good dialogue.
A little bit of a mystery. That sort of thing. Yeah.
And of course, you've got Sinclair and Sakai supposedly going to get married, and then season 2 pops up, and Sakai's gone, and so is Sinclair, and we get our new guy.
Again, everyone, if you want to know what happens, if you want to know more, read To Dream in the City of Sorrows, which, book format. But if anyone wants, I have a link to some place that can give you the digitals. Because it's hard to find copies.
Fiona, you are a moderator, so feel free to use that ability and put those links into the chat. So
I was looking for some of the books, but when I saw the prices, 50, 60, 70, and I'm going, oh my God, I don't have that money.
Yeah, here, let me see if I can pull it up on my bookmarks here. Let's see, I know I have it here somewhere.
And just very quickly to the chat, Mando Merck, good afternoon, sir. Good to see you. Glad you decided to pop in. And Colin Smith. Colin, I'm going to say this about you, but I've seen you in several chats. You have got a good head on your shoulders, young man, or old man, or just man. And if I'm misgendering you, well, guess what? I don't know, and because I'm going to assume being your name is Colin, you're a dude. He brings up a very good point. One wonders why the tech jammers that got Garibaldi involved were coming through Babylon B5, though. And that's actually a good point.
I wonder if that was too many of the Santiago's people still in the other colonies. Mm-hmm. And it just, because Garibaldi's number 2, and there was other infiltrators on Babylon 5, that is probably why they moved through Babylon 5. And it was a port with a lot of distractions going on.
Yes,
well,
very
that
true.
And they probably got some more future Night Watch people to get on board, because if Garibaldi's second banana was already in Psychor's pocket, well.
Very true.
It was interesting that Devereaux and the infiltration team, who were implied to be special forces, felt themselves to be big enough to threaten Garibaldi, but they were killed in seconds by his number 2, as if they were nothing. That This is even bigger than them, bigger than basically special operatives. So you really get the feeling of something really big is moving behind the scenes.
Yeah, well, and the thing you need to realize, anytime you're carrying out any type of conspiracy, no witnesses. You kill everybody that can be possibly killed. Call him piece with he's like Ambassador old and dude, both correct my friend and full of proverb for disclosure. That does play it out MP5. Okay. Well, Colin, regardless, good to have you as always. Thank you for being here.
It was I think the inauguration scene in this with President Clark being sworn in was done on the anniversary of Lyndon B. Johnson being sworn in, and they had that photograph, and they purposefully reproduced that on screen.
I think you're right, Mountains. I don't remember the exact date of when Lyndon Johnson was sworn in and everything, but yeah, I mean, at least in terms of how the shot is set up, yeah, it's very reminiscent of when Johnson and everything was sworn in as president after Kennedy's assassination.
And it's weird. It's almost 100 years on August 22nd since Ireland's only political leader was assassinated. It was during our Civil War, so it's auspicious times.
Very true.
For this episode.
Well, and the thing that I really enjoyed about this episode is so many moving parts, so many balls up in the air, and yet they were able to keep them juggled and not drop one. And that's not an easy thing, particularly for a relatively young show. This is the end of their first season, and yet you've got the whole situation with Sinclair and Sakai. You've got, of course, the continuing tensions between the Narn and the Centauri. You've got Delenn's storyline. And, of course, you've got that question that she asked Veer to ask of, or not Veer, but Lanier. Those two guys' names sound too much alike. But that she asks Lanier and everything to ask of Ambassador Kosh, and he's like, yep. And, of course, we find out later what that question was.
Yes, they have indeed returned to Sahadum.
Mm-hmm. And
actually,
of course, go ahead, Mountains.
No, it was actually an aside. It was funny. We find out in later seasons that Lanier and Veer meet. Was it every once a week?
Yeah,
to moan and complain about the ambassadors they're working for, both Delenn and Londo.
Yep.
They never listen to us. It makes me nervous. Same time next week? Yes.
Yeah, they have a really I don't know if you all noticed and everything in this season and what have you, but certain characters just completely drop out of the show and you're like, where'd they go? And then poof, they're back. Because we've had 3 or 4 episodes with no sign of Jakar, no sign of Natov, no sign of Londo or Veer, and then just poof, they're back. Like, where in the hell have you guys been? If you're ambassadors for your races, you're being really cray ambassadors. Your butt should be on that station.
Well, like anything else, I guess they just have we have to go back and over here and do this. I'll be off station for a while. I mean, even Sheridan pulls this later. Just tell the lady from Earth anything, or in Dowie, or whoever the special investigator was at the time.
Oh yeah. Just
tell them that we're helping somebody out with a diplomatic matter. Yeah.
Well, Colin P. Smith brings up an interesting point. I'm sometimes of the same mind. What would have happened with Sinclair's character if Michael O'Hare had not had to leave or anything after season 1?
My nerdy butt did get to figure some of this out because somebody on my Twitter linked it was a breakdown from the script books that JMS put out. Apparently, Delenn and Sinclair would have had a child instead that would have grown up fast on Babylon 4 when they time jumped everywhere. And then he would help lead against the shadows in the present versus like his dad going into the past or that sort of thing. But then that would be kind of a. I guess that means Delenn really wouldn't have been directly related to him.
They may have changed that.
Yeah.
That would have been
I
awkward
hope.
considering they would have been going a little bit into the territory of Game of Thrones. That's all I'll say. Just a little bit.
Even if there's like 10 generations separating them, maybe 8, depending on how far Minbari can live. But yeah. I mean, I can see how that'd be interesting and how probably some of Delenn's aspects would change. But I can see how they put part of that into Sheridan's story later on. Like with David and everything. So, but again, that was more explored in the books after the actual series was done.
Yeah.
But Garibaldi got to shoot some Drock real good.
Oh yeah.
Oh man.
Dirty, nasty Drock.
Yes.
I hate those guys.
Man.
Take your stinking hands off me, you damn dirty Drock.
Yeah, even all the closing stuff in season 1 just hints at all this. The Shadows having this big, massive network. The Vorlons moving behind the scenes to try to counter some of it.
Mm-hmm. Well, not to mention we get our first look, sort of, at what a shadow looks like. And yeah,
they're spiders, man! Oh my god, 8-legged freaks!
I love that movie. I do. I love that movie. David Arquette, Dougie Doug, great movie. So campy, so cheesy, yet so good. But yeah, spiders. That's a Lost in Space, the movie reference for those of you that might know Lost in Space. If you don't, that's okay. Yes, the one with Liam Hurt, the human robot who can't really emote. But yeah, this episode, the first time I watched it, I got my brain into the Wayback Machine, and I was like, what did I think the first time I saw this episode? And I thought, what are they? Honestly, I know this may seem a little cliche, but I was like, what are they gonna do next? I mean, where do they go from here? I mean, of course, there's so many different plot points that are just literally left hanging. And you have to wait. And if you remember what TV was like back in the day, actually, Colin, I didn't, unfortunately. Well, I know Joan Lockhart, yes. I know, obviously, Bill Mummy, but I didn't catch any of the others, unfortunately. So, but thank you for pointing that out. I appreciate it. I have to go back and rewatch season 1 and everything just to find all the Lost in Space people. Great. Just
Actually,
when I thought.
It's funny. They shared a lot of Star Trek people, too, on that show.
Yeah. I mean, Majel Barrett, Roddenberry. For heaven's sakes, I know
Patricia
there's a couple.
Talman,
Patricia. Yeah. Robin Curtis.
Oh, the guy who played Shran in Enterprise and Wayoon on DS9.
Yeah.
Jeffrey Combs. He was
Jeffrey Combs.
Telepath.
Oh, no.
Bester. How could we forget him?
Yeah, of course, Bester. Oh, no, Colin, I didn't. Yeah, I knew you meant, but I didn't realize you meant the movie. I thought you were talking about the TV show. But yeah, no, I didn't actually. I did not know that. I didn't realize anybody from the movie had made a cameo, honestly. So, but yeah, if you really, yeah, obviously Bester. I mean, Walter Koenig, Pavel Chekhov. But yeah, this Ancient North.
Was it Michael Foxford? I think he was the General Haig, and then he became the on DS9 the Admiral. Oh, for the Homefront episode where there was the changelings on Earth. I can't think of his name.
Yeah.
Or who was the character. But I just...
God, who was it? Even the guy who played Jakar, Andreas, he played a
Chrysalis.
few roles on Star Trek before, because I've watched old Star Trek stuff. It's like, wait, there's Jakar.
Yeah, because he played a reoccurring Romulan commander named Tomalak.
Yes.
And he was so good in it. Andreas Chrysalis, Imperial Jurassic. Man, why do the good ones always die?
Yeah.
Dang it. And I swear, if they ever, this show was like lightning in a bottle. I don't think they could remake it now and do it the right way, because I think honestly they would screw it up. But that's just me.
There's so much. Oh, sorry, Fiona.
No, I'm just saying. And now JMS is kind of like, oh my goodness, dude. Oh, he has Orange Man bad on the brain too. I'm like,
unlike other people, I am not going to hold a person's political leanings against them. If they have a particular political leaning, you know what? Fine. That's their right. That's their opinion. They're entitled to it. I'm not going to say it's wrong or inaccurate. Do I necessarily agree with it? No, I don't. Everything, but that's a topic for another time.
yeah,
That might be a topic for when we get into the reign of Clark, because let's be honest, that freaking guy looks like a weasel.
Remember what Ivanova said at one point? Like, Santiago has no chin, and his vice president has several.
Has many. Yes, has several. I love that one.
Oh, man. I'm
I
sorry.
never trust a man with a weak chin, and his vice president has many. That was his price.
And, well, not to mention, Clark looks like someone that would associate with a hut. Just saying.
Or I think even the hut would not associate with her, saying, "Oh, too slimy he looks."
Well, yeah, that, and I guess with nowadays, since most people are, I guess since Hollywood forces people to put their politics up front before the story most times, that's also the reason why Babylon 5 probably wouldn't survive a reimagining type of deal, because it's like most of these stories that last and keep coming back up again, they have politics in them sometimes, but they're not like there to basically hang the story by its own petard. It's there to in service of the story.
It leaves you open. Sorry, I was saying it just leaves you open to make up your own mind, which is not something many shows today do.
Unfortunately, yes. Well, and Colin and everything, he's bringing up a couple good points. Among was Will's teacher, Don's boss was the original actor, and Judy and Penny were reporters on the show. Hey, Colin, thank you. Appreciate you for bringing all that up. And of course, yeah, Avava has the best lines. Yes, she did.
I mean,
God, sent to me.
Even when Clark and when the whole thing with Santiago and Clark and Santiago's Earth Force One blowing up, that comes back to tie in season 3 with some other elements. So it's not like with this show, everything they put on screens comes back to be tied in later. With very few exceptions.
Yeah. And Colin brings up a good point. There's nothing wrong with politics and entertainment, just to show both sides. Yes. I would, if you're gonna do it, show both sides, because I lean more conservative, and even I recognize that my side sometimes we do dumb.
Yeah.
Not as dumb as what the no, I'm not gonna get political. I'm not gonna get political. I'm not gonna get political.
I think what's also important, if you're going to show both sides, don't make it, this is President Kennedy in space. This is President Trump in space. This is President Bill Clinton in space. It's like, no, do a mix and match and like put a multitude of like ideas together to make like a what do you call it? Like not an algorithm, but like a amalgamation.
Allegory.
Yeah,
or maybe.
Because that's what, again, I guess to take more book side of this, but what Harrington does with David Weber's series, he'll show good guys and bad guys from a lot of different political backgrounds.
Yeah.
But he doesn't make it like, oh, this is the obvious insert for this.
Yeah.
What I find is, oh, sorry, Ambassador.
No, go ahead, Mountains, please.
No, I was saying if you're going to put, let's say, Kennedy in space or Trump in space, take good points from each and switch them over. So you have the good points from what you perceive as your enemy as your swap them over so people can see, well, actually, if I can see somebody on the other side doing what I want, can I really say they're all bad? Let people find common ground rather than trying to say, I'm good, everyone else is bad. Like in this show itself, very often the races pick my race, right or wrong. The Narn will attack somebody, whether the Narn in question is doing the right or wrong thing. Same with the Centauri, Minbari, all the races do it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, even Delenn's transformation after this episode shows that, like, they don't know, what are you? Are you Minbari or other? You're not even human. Are you human or other?
And we find that distasteful looking at her. But if we do it ourselves, would we recognize it? So we need to be aware of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, like old shows had a lot more finesse. I think that's the reason why sometimes even with modern stuff, it gets, kind of mixed up. It's like that. Some people think they're like, oh, I'm gonna put this out here on the sleeve, and it's like no, that's not how you get people to think about it. That's how you get people to shut down. Babylon 5 doesn't shut people down. That's the difference.
Yeah.
I did like. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead, please.
I was saying with the arrogance on display here, we're seeing with the Narn, with Nathos when Sinclair went to speak with Jakar, and she said, he's not in. Oh, he's not in. You go away. In kind of saying, you're beneath me. And then the 3 prostitutes walk out, and she's going, yeah, he's available now. I thought that was priceless. Jakar walked out, arrogant, and then Sinclair brought him down. You've become the bullies you were. You were bullied, and now you've become the bullies. You keep slaves. And you have become exactly what you hated. And he could see the arrogance brought down, and that really hit Jakar. For the first time, I think Jakar really opened his eyes to seeing we can't be this my country right or wrong. We can't be all about ourselves. We have to be aware there's bigger things. And then soon after, they find out there's bigger things than them.
Oh yeah.
And Colin brings up a very good point. There's a very simple 2-word phrase to describe all these points. Good writing.
Yeah, and most modern stuff has forgotten that. I mean, they sneer at stuff like Barsoom and the old pulps, but even though if they are a product of their age, they had excitement, genuine thrills, like good storytelling that thrilled people, that had people read things. It just boggles my mind. It's like all this stuff that's coming out today is like a pale imitation of what's come before. There's nothing that's wholly original, but if you add an interesting 2 cents to the wheel that's just rolling along, then most fans will be like, yeah, this is good, this works.
Yeah. Well, and back last year when we had Endgame come out, and everybody lost their mind when all the heroes got brought back, and then you had that scene at the end in the final battle where all the female heroes team up, and everybody lost their crap because it was nothing but women on the screen for 20-30 seconds. I'm thinking, grow a backbone. Grow a freaking backbone. So they don't have all the female heroes in one shot. Who gives a crap? They're kicking ass. They're taking names. It's awesome. Put Breeze in there. I don't care. But it's woke. No, it isn't. Well, you're wrong. No, I'm not. It's not woke. Bree's not bad. She won a freaking Oscar. She has more talent in her little pinky because of that Oscar than you do in your entire body. Shut the hell up and go away. You're wrong. I don't care.
Oh man.
My grandmother would have a phrase for people like that, or a phrase. The only thing they're good at is bitching and moaning. And that's all these people often do on YouTube is Brie Larson's on YouTube. Oh my God. So what? So what?
At this point, like it's that stuff. Like, you know what, they're like, okay, this is the popular IP. If you want to see something different, do what I do and find indies out there that are giving you what you want. Like,
yes,
100%. Marvel and DC will do what they're going to do. They'll either completely burn down or rise up later. It doesn't matter. Like, you're feeding something that's giving you stuff you don't want to see. So why do you keep feeding it? If you want more stuff like Babylon 5, support more stuff that's built like Babylon 5. And, you know, and be like Sinclair. That guy got to drop so many truth bombs, and he got even more fun in the later seasons where Marcus is like, yes, Ranger 1, to understand him, you have to be like upside down on top of the ceiling.
Yes, standing on your head, looking into a mirror. Yeah. And Colin P. Smith brings up a great point, and very quick to the chat. Eastland, Brookholder, good to see you, sir. Arriving late, pulling up a virtual chair with a scree. Agree, good writing, reading old audiobooks and radio plays that rely on suspense and character-driven plots. Yes, those are all great things. And you can find a lot of them on YouTube now. But Colin P. Smith brings up a good point about just something I just mentioned. And which character had the most time? Amy Pond. Oh, sorry, Nebula. And yeah, Amy Pond, played by, what was her name? Karen. No, it's not Karen. Gilliam. Karen Gilliam. Yeah, she was awesome. I loved her as Amy Pond in Doctor Who with Matt Smith.
Oh, there you go. But really,
yeah.
Season 1 finale, it set up stuff for pretty much everything that'll happen throughout the other 4 seasons, like from beginning to end. Like, oh my God.
Colin, thank you. Karen Gillian, thank you very much. Appreciate it. Yeah, you know, honestly, this. No, mountains, of course not.
Okay,
I'll mention that
later on. I'll mention that later on, as it's it was really good. Actually, okay. I think someone has mentioned about female characters.
Yeah, go for it.
There's a YouTube channel called Zocalo, and they did a 1-hour talk on Ivanova's best lines. Each of them took her top 5. It was a great show.
Well, Mountains, why don't you throw the link for that in the chat? I think everybody else would like to check it out. You're both the moderators on here, for crying out loud. Use that privilege. I gave it to you for a reason, not just to get trolls out, even though you're great at it. Writing with the plan. I saw drug consumption has a lot to do with bad writing. Eastland, you may not be wrong.
Oh my. But no, like the end of season 1, it sets up the Narn and Centauri War. It sets up what's going to happen to Sinclair in season 3. It makes some headway into what's going to be the foundation of season 4. Like, oh my God, the dude really did plot this out like a book on TV.
Well, of course, because Straczynski is a talented freaking writer. You know what? And I'm just going to say this real briefly. So many people on YouTube anymore are so focused on a person's politics, even if they're a good creative, they can't get past the person's politics. You know what I say? I don't give a rat's behind what you vote, even though that does sort of matter. But as long as it doesn't interfere with your ability to be creative, I say just entertain me and shut up about the rest. And it seems like maybe on a small scale, and hopefully that scale will increase, people are starting to go back to that mindset. I'm just going to shut up and do what I do best. Entertain. Not preach, not demean, and not talk down to.
That would be a nice thing. I will say,
Mhm.
there are a lot of indie outlets that are doing that in spite of what, say, if their personal politics lean right. They're more concerned of the pulp revolution movement that I've pretty much picked up on. First and foremost, they want to do what the pulps did: entertain. Sure, will they have some of their little bit of politics in there? Yeah, but those politics serve the story, or the more Christian background serves the story to build it. And first and foremost, they want to entertain readers. So.
Yes. And Mountains, thank you for including that link. So, yeah, Eastland brings up a good point, and the problem is, as I say and have said before, gay and black is not inherently interesting, and bisexual and brown and female is not inherently interesting until a writer makes it so. Yes, if you want us to care about that particular thing, make the person that has that attribute interesting themselves. Make the character interesting, and then add in whatever X thing that you want to bring into their character to enhance it. Don't make the fact that they are a particular sexual orientation or a particular race. Don't make that the defining part of the character. Make them interesting.
Yeah, that's what most readers want. And
I wouldn't have, and here's the thing about Babylon 5. If you want to insert this into the current media or entertainment landscape, I would not have cared if Sinclair had been a woman. I would not have cared if Garibaldi, although it would have been kind of odd, had been a person of color. Although Garibaldi is obviously an Italian name, and most Italians are my color. They're white. I wouldn't have cared what those characters' orientations or races or even genders were. All I wanted was an interesting character. I didn't even care that Talia Winters wasn't just a little bi. Or, okay, not bi, but a little gay. Didn't matter. I didn't give two hoots in hell.
They never raised it.
And she was an interesting character.
And had she stayed on the show, that weirdness with Kosh probably would have played into getting her original mind back.
Yeah,
and that was the original plan with the vicar recording her mind, so that they could bring her back as she was.
Because that shows that Kosh was powerful enough of a oomph there to sense the hidden personality buried in her.
Exactly.
And she was a great character who happened to be. And it wasn't the kind of up and glaring neon signs. You could become, you could see becoming friends with her, caring for the character, not because of what she was, but because of who she was.
Exactly.
I mean, I said myself, I'm in a mixed race marriage. And I'd be very upset if somebody was defining my wife by her appearances. She's a wonderful person. And treat her as such. Treat her with the dignity of the person she is.
That's what a lot of stuff nowadays that tries to mimic things doesn't really get. They maybe have some of the ingredients, but they don't know how to mix it to where it works. And that's what a lot of indies and other places are trying to bring back. But if a lot of fan bases keep harping on you're changing this or changing that, then offer the alternative. And then maybe the big corporations will eventually get the hint, even if the door is already burning down on them. Yeah.
And just very quickly to the chat, Traveler 28, good to see you, sir. I know it's been a while. I know I haven't been in Max's neck of the woods in a while. Good to see you. Thank you for tuning in. Yeah, and I know we've gotten off a little bit of a tangent here, but here's the thing about Babylon 5. This show is 20 some odd years old now, give or take. And roughly 20, maybe 25-ish years old at the most. But it still attracts people because it's good writing, it's good storytelling, it's interesting characters, it's everything that people want to watch. It really is. And, Traveler 28, he brings up a good point. And I think fan bases need to change. Yes, I would agree with that. I mean, but here's the great thing. If you look at the fan base for Babylon 5, it may not be very vocal. It might be very large. It might be deceptively larger than people give it credit for. But it has been a positive fan base by and large. Yeah, we weren't terribly thrilled about the fact that the show ended at 5 seasons and that the 5th season wasn't particularly the best and everything. But we still didn't crap on it.
Well,
we didn't berate. Go ahead, Fiona, please.
Well, I'm just thinking the part of it is TNT kind of did a little bit of interference towards the end, and it didn't help that Claudia left the show. Yeah. I mean, Tracy Scoggins was handed something pretty like big old messy clay to work with, but I think she did a fairly good job, and I liked her on Lewis and Clark because she's pretty funny.
No, I really like Tracy Scoggins, like Commander Lockley. I think she was a fantastic character.
I did think it was funny that they added her in as another Sheridan X, and Delen's just looking at him like, what?
Was it Garibaldi? How many X's does he have?
Good question. And Traveler 28, he's like, I miss B5. The shadow scared me and the wife, but the wife loves Boxleitner. I think everybody likes Boxleitner, except for the fact that he cheated on his wife. At least that's the story I've heard from Madam Ambassadors, that Boxleitner cheated on his wife, who is one of the sweetest women of all time. I mean, hello, can you say, what's her name? Laura Ingalls from Little House on the Prairie?
Yeah.
Just saying.
Melissa something.
Melissa Gilbert.
Yep.
Melissa Gilbert, yeah.
Although, following some of the Twitter feed, Boxleitner has gotten remarried from the looks of it to one of his Hallmark movie actresses, I think.
Okay.
I have to check on that again, but, at this point, I just use Twitter to find interesting books.
Good idea. But yeah, as I started to say, this season really cemented something for the fan base of Babylon 5. It introduced us to something that we had never seen before. I mean, yeah, we had Star Trek, we had Star Wars and stuff like this, but this was Star Trek flipped on its head, and you're having to look at it standing on your head in a mirror, because it has things in it that Star Trek never had. It never had like these ancient, technologically advanced alien races. It didn't have these overarching storylines, because if you think about it, while Star Trek was more episodic, Babylon 5, by and large, it had a complete story arc from start to finish. And
I guess that explains the rivalry with DS9, because DS9 started doing that too. Like, taking for doing overall arcs that continue on, like with Quark's nephew, who went from like an ensign to like a full-blown lieutenant,
I think the story is behind the scenes. A lot of the DS9 writers wanted to do the Babylon 5 story arc. I think who's the guy from Battlestar Galactica who did the writing? He was the writer on DS9. Supposedly he was saying a lot of that was they wanted to be not episodic, but carry on the story arc, and Babylon 5 was the influence. Yeah. Because how many kind of shows, I mean, we're talking about now, end of season 1, Babylon 5 is really ramping up. Most shows want to put the explosions and bells and whistles from the very start. Babylon 5 worked because it burnt slowly and built slowly, and you had tension building, and it really built the world that you began to care about, rather than being dropped straight into the middle of the action. You learn to care about the world.
Well, and Colin brings up the point I was going to bring up. Purely coincidental that Paramount had JMS's outline for a year, turned him down, then came out. Yeah. That's exactly why there was such a rivalry between DS9 and Babylon 5. Because they use a lot of similar character names, they use a lot of similar character plot points.
Yeah, cough, cough, do cat. Oh, sorry.
Yeah. Well, and
but I can appreciate both for their own like, little
but
differences and similarities.
Well, not to mention you had a giant war with another race that was far more technologically advanced. Can you say Dominion?
Yep.
And the shadows.
But I'm so glad we got both stories.
Yeah, you know what? And this is the case of where like nothing is wholly original because there's certain parts of the wheelhouse that we like. So it's like, oh, this has ancient derelicts and all sorts of others. Ooh, I'm looking. What is this?
Well, and I just had an interesting thought pop in my head. Who would win a war between the Dominion and the Shadows?
I would say the Shadows are because of the Drock added in there, because they're more vicious than the Shadows. The Shadows are kind of like coldly logical.
Not to mention techno-organic technology versus just really good ships. I'm gonna give the money to the Shadows. Not to mention if they bringing their planet killers.
Yep.
You bring a shadow planet killer around the Founder's homeworld. Yeah, no more changelings. You're sunk.
Yeah, and then not to mention the Drock would probably poison the absolute junk out of them.
Good point. Yeah. We're going to send it.
Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was about to say, would a keeper work on a changeling?
That's a good question. I imagine the Shadows would be able to figure out a way to counter the shape-shifting ability. I mean, if the Federation can do it, I'm sure the Shadows can too.
That, and they'd probably make the keepers able to shape shift with them, so then you wouldn't really be able to spot the dang thing. That's scary.
Well, if it dropped back into the link with a keeper attached, could the keeper affect the entire? As the drop becomes an ocean becomes a drop. Whatever emerged from that ocean would be keeper affected.
Oh God.
Just saying.
They would give the Borg a run for their money.
Oh.
Yeah, I remember somebody did. Oh, it was Anti-Trekker, actually. I just found these videos and everything. They're old videos. I think they're like a few years old now. Of a war between the Dominion and the Borg, and I think Anti-Trekker had said that the Borg would definitely win, which I could see.
Yeah, that's a good point. The Shadows probably would have turned all of them, the shapeshifters, into agents.
Yeah,
Mr. Cullen is on point.
Yes, he is. So, man, we kind of go ahead, Mountains.
I was saying, when we're doing kind of what ifs, I was just thinking before this.
Mm-hmm.
Londo had the opportunity to reject Morden, and how bad would it have gone with the Shadows if Rifa had been in his place?
Oh boy. Oh, and that just reminds me that Jakar's answer, why it didn't work, because Jakar was just concerned about a very short engagement and then crash and burn like to the Centauri. Londo was more interested in, I want the greatness to happen again. So it's like, so he has the added drive of wanting to conquer again. I see. Because the Shadows weren't just interested in just plain destruction. They wanted races that were driven to conquer.
Yep.
But Londo still had a good moral core. Rifa lacked any good qualities that Londo actually has.
Yeah. Unfortunately, Rifa, that guy was about as slimy as they come. And
it will be fun to see The Rock cried out when we see his
Ooh.
Ultimate.
Oh, man.
And like they played me like a fiddle. Oh,
Mhm.
stuff from season 1 that comes crashing down on what was it, season 4? That's good writing.
Yeah, of course, because J. Michael Straczynski did it, and not Chris Terrio.
Babylon 5 really had some great writers, along with Straczynski, DC Fontana, Harlan
Yep.
Ellison. I think
Yep.
David Niven also wrote for Babylon 5, so they had a good writing team.
Yeah, they did.
And they even had some writers who, even if they've lost their way today, back then they did a pretty serviceable job. Peter David did the one episode with Londo's 3 wives and The
I
Day
love
of the
that.
Dead, I think.
I love that episode.
Oh, Plague, Pestilence.
I do.
I wonder
oh.
which one of you think was that one. It can't be that bad. The lady he married in that episode, which of his 3 wives was that?
I think it might have been the one that he ended up keeping.
I was thinking the same.
Yeah, because even though she didn't like him much, she was very truthful and forthright. And that's valuable in Centauri marriages.
Well, and that's why Londo picked her. That's why Londo picked her, because of all of the 3 wives, she was the most trustworthy and she was the most honest. In some ways. Go ahead, Fiona, please.
Because he also even said, of all of you, I always know where I stand, and that's the complete truth. That's what he said.
Yeah. Well, and I always try to find people in my life in the shows that I watch. And I can say with honesty, in Babylon 5, I found characters that resembled very closely my mother and my late grandmother. And everything. And the only reason I don't bring up my father all that much is because it's not that I have bad memories of him, but the memories I have of him are so few that I don't have a real good, strong grasp or anything on him as a person. I mean, I knew who my father was, but he died when I was 7, so I didn't have a whole lot of time with him. But I can say everything to get back on track here. In terms of the people in Babylon 5 and just in television shows in general, Ivanova is my mom. Lady Olenna from Game of Thrones is my grandmother. And I think I posted a video of Lady Olenna Tyrell from Game of Thrones on Twitter not too long ago. I was like, that's my grandmother in spades. But Ivanova, in a lot of ways, reminds me of my mom, who is still with us, thankfully, and everything. Hopefully will be for as long as the good Lord allows her to be here. But yeah, Ivanova is just like my mom, except not Russian.
Oh man! Actually, at one point, a lot of people were when they were trying to get the Honor Harrington series, like an actual TV series, up and running. That kind of fell through, but people were saying, "Yeah, put Claudia Christian in there. I don't care if we have to put her on stilts to make her over 6 feet." It's like, okay, that's pretty funny.
Traveler, I appreciate it, but that was a long time ago. I appreciate the sentiment, but my dad's in a better place, and I know where he is. I don't have to worry about that. So, but thank you, I appreciate it. But yeah, Russian women are awesome. They're strong, they're tough, and they're rather striking. To quote Finch from American Pie when he's trying to seduce Stifler's mom.
Oh my.
Oh my goodness. Where did that come? You know what? I don't even want to know. I'm not even. How did we get up? How did I bring up American Pie from all that? Oh goodness. All right. Colin. Well, okay. I'll bring this up because actually, I actually own this movie. Fiona, have you ever seen this?
Yes, I have seen it, but it's been a while.
Oh, I love this movie.
I'd probably
That's
have
always
to.
been on my watch. Oh, sorry, Fiona.
Oh no, it's on probably one of my to-do lists later. It's just with writing my own book series. Even though I'm putting it on the blog and everything, it's like I've realized it's like it's time consuming in a good way. So I can see why JMS had to write so much, because like once you start, it's just like it's like plot buddies, and you're looking in the other direction for no, the plot buddies tell me to go over here. Like I can't stop writing. So that's why I don't understand why some writers are like, oh, this is so hard. It's just like running a marathon. Once you start, it's just like, oh, okay, I'm getting my third lung here. The plot bunnies won't leave me alone. So, yep. So like 90% of my free time is going into pretty much writing. Usually I can get 2,000 to 3,000 words in a sitting. I'm at a pretty good clip. Yeah. But man, he must have wrote millions of words.
I love this movie. Okay, I think Eastland, are you trying to tell us something?
I guess he wants maybe a movie thing later. Yeah.
Are you guys gonna stay on topic today? I pretend to be surprised you went off topic if you want me to do that. I'm guessing. I guess Eastland's joking. Well, Eastland, honestly, I think we talked about everything we possibly could with the episode, so this is just spare fun time.
Yes.
Sorry.
Well, it's mainly because the season closer for season 1 really is a springboard for the rest of the series. So many starting plot threads happen right there, and then plot buddy A to plot buddy Z, they're all hopping around Babylon 5.
Yeah,
And
because
sorry.
Go ahead, Mountains. No, it's okay. Go ahead.
I was saying each of the one of the reasons it's hard to stay on topic sometimes is so much of the writing in Babylon 5 is on topic and relevant for today. So you get drawn down rabbit holes where the plot bunnies come from.
Yeah, because if you've seen the series a couple of times like I have, it's like, oh my God, so many of those plot bunnies are just the whole way through. They just don't start popping out of their holes until a little bit later, but they're there.
Well, and the other thing is, like I mentioned earlier, there isn't any real social or political commentary in this particular episode that we can really dig into. This is mostly just story. This is building up to season 2. And next week we'll get into season 2. Well, we may do something else and everything, depending and everything if the Dega can join us. So, but
it basically sets up Sinclair's duties that are going to be off Babylon 5. It's going to set up Garibaldi's arc of trying to figure out who to trust again. This will be especially apparent in the start of season 2.
Oh yeah.
The whole presidential Earth corruption storyline that's going to run throughout the rest of the series. Delenn's issues with home that will culminate in season 4 with their own little civil war. It's like, oh my God. All the fun with Babylon 4 later.
Yeah.
The Narn and the Centauri, and Kosh saying, yes, they're both the dead race, which, you know what? It turns out the Narns will get to have a little bit of a rebirth. The Centauri will later, too.
Yep. Traveler, you're about to hate me.
I need to get on DVD. Oh, no, he only has the VHS. I'm so sorry. Well, I do. I still have a VHS of the original 5-parter of Gargoyles: The Awakening.
Oh, good grief!
Yeah.
Nerd. Nerd.
Yes, I got that way back when. I was like, that was my most prized possession as a kid. I'm like, ooh.
Okay, Traveler, prepare to have seething rage.
Yes.
Oh boy. Yep, it's the complete set of everything. Even the Legend of the Ranger, which I only watched because Jakar was in it.
Yes.
No, this doesn't include Legends of the Rangers.
Oh, okay. Okay.
This has all 5 seasons. This has all the TV movies, and it has the Crusade.
Oh, there you go.
That plus Legend of the Rangers in the box set.
Oh, shut up. Friends! I get you! Yeah, and Traveler, you can find it on Amazon, but it ain't cheap. It is not cheap whatsoever. I think I dropped a cool bill on that. 100.
I do have all the physical stuff, like when they released it as singles. But I also bought the streaming version on Amazon when each season of Babylon 5 was like $5 a shot. I figured, why not? And I won't have to mess with my disc for a while. It's like, okay.
Hold on, Traveler. I'm going to double check for you real quick. I might be wrong on the price of Babylon 5 the full season or the full series.
Here, let's see.
Let's see who can pull it up first. That's what she said.
Well, it's saying like 119 to like 116 because they one of them has the complete series, including the 5, what you got, and then the other one's just the 5 seasons plus the movie collection.
Hold on.
So
one second.
Apparently, it is also sponsored.
5 series TV. There it is.
Well, Region 2, it's €66.
And here's the crazy thing. It's owned by Warner Brothers. I'm amazed that it's not on HBO Max yet.
Now, honestly, from what I get, Warner Brothers kind of treats Babylon 5 like the redheaded stepchild, kind of like how Disney treated Gargoyles like the redheaded stepchild for a while.
Well, they shouldn't. Hold on one second.
It seems as if they're almost afraid to put Babylon 5 up front because people will start to want something like that. They almost want to hide, this is a sleeping giant.
Okay.
Yeah, that
there's
is possible.
There you go, Traveler. If you can see it, it's $116. But I will tell you right now, Haas, it is worth every penny. Because I
got to just mention it. The encyclopedia, even though it's the paperback, the $50 or so, it's like almost 1,000 pages of Babylon 5, like trivia and behind the scenes stuff. Like you'll learn about Jakar's actual family, like his wife and daughter and all that stuff they couldn't get into the show.
Traveler 28's like, ordering now. I'm like, okay, I guess. Wow. Well, Bud, I hope you enjoy. Now, Traveler, I'm going to tell you something that I told everybody when I started doing the review of the TV show, after I did all my other videos on B5. Watch the beginning TV movie first. Watch that first, then watch the pilot, and then go from there. And I'll try and find a watcher's guide for Babylon 5 because with the TV, you want to watch it with the TV movies interspersed because it makes a lot more sense rather than watching the TV movies separately. Like, let's see, Third Space was the second one they did. Third Space you'll want to watch midway through season 4, right after the Shadow War is over, but before they start the war with Clark's storyline.
Yeah, because the interplanetary guys were coming in through the blockade, so that's before they decided to take on Clark. So
you'll want to do that. I've got to figure out when you need to watch River of Souls and when you need to watch Call to Arms. I'm not sure if that should be during season 5 or after season 5, but I'll figure that out.
Call to Arms would be after season 5. That was when President Churn built the Excalibur.
Yeah, and they basically did that to tie the both series together as like the send off.
There is a great scene in that where Garibaldi tells the guy constructing, look, if you don't get this working in the next hour, you're getting out and pushing. And in the next scene, he has your man in a spacesuit ready to go. He's on the bridge, fully suited up to be shoved out an airlock. I just thought that was classic.
Oh yeah. Well, I'd say River of Souls, you could probably do it at almost like any point at season 5 because it feels like it's like a separate episode.
Is it? Okay. Just a
Because
longer.
yeah, and because it had Zach Allen in it and a couple of the other principal characters, but the way it was set up, it could have easily been something that happens like after the Day of the Dead or anything like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Traveler, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll send you a DM with the continuity for everything. It'll be a lot easier than me trying to type it into the chat. So.
Yes, because the chat only allows 200 thingies. Yeah.
Exactly. Woo! Yeah. So. Well, guys, unless there's something else you want to cover, I think we've covered the episode and then some. So, any closing remarks you want to make, or anything along those lines?
Yeah, honestly, season 1 felt like one giant prologue, but it wasn't the type of prologue that was going off in 5,000 different directions. It was all aiming to this very end where it's like, okay, here's the other plot bunnies.
Yeah, really.
No. For me, all I want to say is I like Sinclair's marriage proposal.
Well,
short and to the point.
Do you want to get married or not? Yeah.
Yeah, since they had such an on and off thing, but they realized even when they were dating other people, it's like, nope, this is the one for me. We're back in each other's orbit again.
Yep, pretty much. The only thing that sucks is all we get at the end is she's sitting there next to him and he's like, things will never be the same again. So
Sinclair, the man of few words, but when he does say stuff, it's like, that's right on the dart. Right there. Right there.
Very true. Very, very true. But yeah, folks, I think we're going to go ahead and wrap up here. And I want to thank Mountains of Elysium and Fee and the Wolf, everything, for joining me this afternoon. This has honestly been a lot of fun. This turned out to go in a lot of different directions than I expected. But honestly, I enjoyed it. So, but guys and ladies and gentlemen, thank you all for being here this afternoon. Eastern Brookholder, Traveler 28, Colin P. Smith, and to anybody else not sitting on the cushion, I appreciate you all being here. If anybody ever gets that reference, you get a gold star and a cookie.
Cookies, please. Cookies.
It's actually from A Knight's Tale with Heath Ledger. So, well, folks, as I said, we're going to go and wrap up here. Mountains, Fiona, is there anything you want to plug for your blog or for your channel before we close out?
I'm good. It seems like Bing has picked up something, so it's all of a sudden it's like, where did all these page views come from? Oh, Bing. I'm good. I just like chatting stuff. Most of the time, if I'm promoting something, it'll be like in passing.
Of course, and as always, it's always welcome. So, Mountains, what about you? You got anything you want to promote or plug before we close out?
I've been running polls on Twitter the past couple of weeks for my ideal kind of picking from different franchises, a captain, first officer, all of, basically an ideal first crew from across sci-fi franchises. And that is almost ready to go. I just had one last poll to go. The science officer, where it was 25% for everyone on the poll. It finished dead even for all 4.
Wow.
So I'm going, should I rerun or should I just take a casting vote myself? So I'm undecided whether I run another poll before I actually put that video together with the best crew. Now, it's going to be controversial, but it should be fun.
Excellent. So, all right. Well, as for me, folks, I've got a couple of videos and a possible stream in the works. It just depends on what's going on the rest of this week. I've got another a doctor's appointment I've got to take my mother to, so I don't know if I'll be doing anything on Friday. Just a quick update on things for the channel. My work schedule has changed. I'm going to be off on Thursdays and Fridays going forward for the next several months and everything. So you might see some more afternoon streams just on different days. You might see some more nighttime streams just on different days. So I'll keep everybody posted on that. As far as this weekend goes, I'm actually going to be having my watch party for the animated Transformers movie from 1984. I've got a great panel lined up and everything to watch that with me. I've got Mir from MB Geeks Let's Talk. I've also got Jason P. Preston from Polyhedral's Paradise. He's going to be joining me because he was actually the one that suggested it back a few weeks ago when I had my G.I. Joe and Transformers stream. And I'm in communication with a certain Echo Base network and everything to see if they want to join me. And who knows? I have a few others and everything that want to pop in for that. So as always, I'll keep you all updated and all tuned in. And then the second to last Saturday this month, I'll be having my stream about V, the miniseries from 1983 and 1984. So I'm putting a panel for that together as well. So if anybody wants to be a part of that, reach out. And if you're interested, I'll pop you in. And I just did rewatch it. I may go back and rewatch it again because I realized I forgot how freaking awesome V was. So anyways, folks, y'all have a great day. And until next time, this is the Ambassadors signing off.